The Confidence Coach with Wendy J. Holloway. Being confident means knowing who you really are, what you want, and how to get it. Join Wendy J. as she explores all things confidence, from fearful to fearless.
Hey, well, I just want to thank Debra so much for being here with us today. Debra is a creator. It is how she lives and what she does in her work. Her art has been a consistent thread throughout her life, whether it be painting, writing, or working with others. And it is based on her spiritual journey, her shamanic practice, and her strong connection to the natural world. So for almost 20 years, she was a life coach, a personal trainer, and had a career that evolved out of her own experience transforming her life through bodybuilding. So during that time, she developed a 12-week transformational program using the body as a vehicle for transforming a person's entire life. Again, it was all about creation. So currently, Debra's work is a combination of painting, design, and writing, and she transforms her paintings into fabrics and creates clothing, blankets, and pillows with the intention of bringing the energy of her artwork into physical forms that you can touch. They're luxurious, sensual, and filled with love. And that love she puts into absolutely everything she creates. She works with individuals to create custom pieces using many of the interactive processes that she developed while teaching her program. Welcome to our program today, Debra. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much. It really is exciting for me to be able to share all my years of experience and what I'm doing now, because I'm passionate about it.
I love that. And as somebody who, I don't want to skip ahead too far, but somebody who is the owner of one of your beautiful pieces of art, one of your luxurious blankets, and I meant to bring it down here. I will be featuring it in a little mini video with this, but I have never had a blanket like that in my life. And the experience of being covered in that blanket is like none other. It is luxurious is not a big enough word for what it feels like to be covered in this. So yeah, let's go back though to when you first spoke to me. You told me about a monumental shift that had occurred in your life. And I'd like to kind of start there at the beginning because I just know how this is going to shift. I want to be able to start there.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is a little bit challenging to speak about. A lot of it is probably going to sound strange and unbelievable to a lot of people, because it's kind of unbelievable to me. Let me just say that for decades now, I've been on a journey and in a process of becoming who I truly am, meaning that I am able to fully embody, to inhabit my true essence. And I was never 100% successful at doing that. Couldn't quite understand why, but my journey has led me to working with plant medicine. And in a process that I did this past fall with a shaman that I work closely with, I used plant medicine to help me move beyond this place of sort of being stuck in an identity that didn't feel like it was totally mine. During that process, those hours using this medicine, something occurred for me that is so miraculous that honestly, it's still hard for me to believe. At 70 years old, having struggled for decades with trauma, abuse, health issues, feelings of loss and abandonment, and just terrible grief. I really never thought that it was possible to shed all of that. What happened that night was that the person that I was for the first 70 years of my life died. And she died so that I could be born. And who I am now is the person that she strived all her life to be and could not be. And what I realize now is that all the work that she did, and I say she because I now refer to the person I was for the first 70 years of my life as my mother. And she did this work so that I could be born, so that I could have a life and carry the energy that was inherent in her but could not be fully expressed. I could carry that now into a more full expression, and use it to help others to live the life that I was meant to live, and to contribute to the world in a way that she always wanted to, but really could not. So what really occurred that night was a death, a birth, and a release of lifetimes of pain, trauma, fear, tremendous fear, and now freedom to be who I really am for the first time.
Wow, what a powerful story. So for someone that's like just checking this recording out, and they've never heard of anything like this before, plant medicine, this kind of experience, you're right, it might be really difficult for them to understand. Now, what do you think makes it so difficult for people to wrap their heads around an experience like this that was so all-consuming that it changed the trajectory of your life so that you aren't the same person anymore? Why is it so hard for other people to understand that?
I don't think that most people believe that the miraculous is around us all the time and available to them.
Right.
I have the sense that when someone speaks in terms of the spiritual world, of miracles occurring, of death and rebirth, that it's a out of the box concept for most people to grasp.
Right.
Especially because I'm not referring to any of this in a religious sense at all. This is not about being born again. It has no religion attached to it. And I think that most people live in a container of safety and what they consider to be possible and normal.
Right.
And I don't.
No.
However, my mother knew that was possible, but didn't really feel that it was possible for her.
Right.
And that's one reason why she went to plant medicine, to help her with this
Right.
journey because she was stuck in the same container that I think
Yeah.
most people are stuck in, except that her vision was greater,
Right.
her spiritual experience was greater maybe than most people, but she still had this fear and this
Yes.
feeling of, well, it's possible for others, but not for me.
So for weirdos like me that are always looking into something that I don't really understand with my mind, but it just pulls to me for us weirdos,
Yeah.
like your mother that was intrigued by what is possible, even if she didn't think it was possible for her without some assistance. It's like, what kind of wise words can you give to those of us who aren't doubters, those of us who, you know, are all about the experience and you don't have to prove it to us. We just kind of want to, know, like, what's it like now for you to experience this great big life-changing thing that's completely changed your identity? Like, give us some wisdom for weirdos like me.
Well, first of all, I do not consider you a weirdo because if you're a weirdo, then I'm a weirdo, but be that as it may. My experience now, being who I am, is that just about anything is possible. You don't have to believe it. You just have to allow that possibility to show up. And the best thing that I know to do now that I had a really hard time, my mother had a really hard time doing, is step out of the way, let go of this need to control how things happen, when things happen, and what they're going to look like when they happen. And
Right.
just trust that when you put yourself on a path, the guidance is there. I know now without a shadow of a doubt that I have been guided and protected and literally held all my life through this process. I can see it now looking back, that there is nothing I need to do other than follow these little whispers that I hear about, well, wouldn't that be interesting? Or, God, I really love that. I don't have to know why. It doesn't have to make sense. Just follow. Just follow what my heart is saying. And don't worry so much about, like, it doesn't matter what it looks like. I don't have to have the whole picture. All I
Right.
need to do is just, like, where is that next inch that I need to place my foot? It's just inch by inch. And that is how I'm living my life now, is just in a big question. What's next? I don't know. I don't need to know.
That's so beautiful. It really is. So I'm the creator of the TLC evolution, and I've described it a little bit to you before, I think, but it's part of that is like we talk to ourselves differently when we are in the TLC evolution. We use tender, loving kindness with ourselves, and we turn off the noise on anything that's loud and drowns out that quiet voice that whispers to us. And then, so that's the T, turn off the noise. And the L is listen to your body. The C is to create the life you love, create your own heaven on earth. But to go back to listen to your body, I think you have this other understanding of bodies than the average person, having been in bodybuilding in the past and having done programs to help do
Mhm.
this big transformation. Um, I'd like to know a little bit more about what was that whisper that led you into bodybuilding to start with.
Yeah, that was a long time ago, and I had been diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome in my 20s, and told for many, many years all the things I would never do again. There were a lot of nevers, even by doctors who were more aware and alternatively based. They still said, well, never, you're never going to. And when I was about to turn 40, I said to myself, I'm too young to never. There's too much life ahead of me. That's not how I'm going to live my life. And I knew there was just something inside me that just said, I am not a sick person. I'm a healthy, strong person with physical issues to deal with. And a healthy, strong person doesn't live their life like never. So I hired a strength coach. He was from a local university. He didn't know anything about bodybuilding, neither did I.
Right.
But I hired him because I wanted my strength back. And so together we worked to get my strength back. And
so the word strength, sorry for interrupting, the word strength, would you infuse that a little bit with the word energy? How would you define strength as you were seeking it at the time?
Well, I knew that in order to
Right. Because when we're weak, like even just the way that I sit in my chair when I'm weak is I hunch, and when I'm working out and my core is strong, it naturally pulls my muscles to where they need to be, and I present myself differently.
Yes. Yes. It changes everything.
Right.
So I knew that. And that's why I hired a strength coach, because I wanted the integrity of my body. And we worked on that until one day I remember the time, the place, the picture, everything. I was sitting on a bench in the gym, between a cable crossover machine, between sets. And I turned to him and I said, I know what I need to do with my life. I said, I need to be a trainer, because this has absolutely changed my life completely. And this is what I need to give this to others.
So this is where my listen to your body piece comes in, and that whispers and that knowing. If you had to scan your body at that point when you all of a sudden just knew in those cross pulls, like what, where did that knowing come from?
It was in my gut. It was in my gut. Yeah. And that's where I get a lot of my messages.
So cool.
It was just like, oh, I mean, I can feel it. There's this, it's almost like there's a cord running from my gut to spirit that just said, here it is. And that's what I did. And
I love it.
The way that I went about bodybuilding,
Mm-hmm.
the way that I went about training others and coaching others and creating my program was the same way I go about creating a painting or a fabric design, or it comes from the same place. My head, my mind gets out of the way. Mm-hmm. And it's a creative process of just listening to spirit and channeling those messages about what needs to be created and what is needed in the process of creation. So when I was working with a client, rather than going by the book and saying, well, you need this exercise and this exercise and this, it was like listening to their energy, to spirit speaking through me, saying, this is what you need. And a lot of times it didn't make any sense, but it worked. It worked.
So interesting. So your chronic fatigue syndrome and all these doctors, tell me a little bit about that.
Well, they were kind of amazed.
I bet.
In the beginning, when I began working with the trainer that I was working with, I remember my first meeting with him. He said, well, I get down on the floor and do a push-up. I couldn't get up. I mean, that's how weak I was. And after about 8 months, I was doing these full workouts and I wasn't getting sick in between. I mean, I used to like do one set of leg extensions and go home and go to bed for literally 2 weeks. And then he said to me, look, just call me when you can. And 2 weeks go by, I'd get up, I'd get on the phone, I'd call him and I'd say, okay, I'm ready. Go back in, do the same thing, go back home, go to bed. And that went on for months and months and months until little by little, I was getting to the point where I could get through a workout. And then I was not only getting through a workout, I was really pounding out those workouts, and I was strong and I was not dealing with the chronic fatigue anymore. And so much was shifting. And the doctors they had no clue. They really had no clue.
And so what do you think made that possible?
It started with my declaration about who I was, and then working to embody that truth. Literally,
that is so
embody.
Powerful.
Yeah, because who I am, who my mother was not a weak person. There was no weakness there.
No.
But when I discovered through my own work and working with others all those years, I was a trainer for almost 20 years. And I saw these transformations continually. People that thought that they were weak, that they couldn't do X, Y, and Z. And it was showing up in all areas of their lives. And when they got in touch with their actual strength, it changed everything. And people left marriages, they started businesses, all kinds of things happened because they began to embody the truth of who they were. And that's all my work has ever been about, for myself and for others, is get in touch with your own truth. Who are you really? And then what will it take to embody that, to live it fully, to express it in every way that you can?
That is so powerful. Now, knowing your story a little bit more, I'd like to circle back to this transformational experience that you've had recently, where you refer to the woman that was the trainer as your mother, and you are now this new person. I heard you say something just now, and that was it started with my declaration when I was sick of who I am, and then you started embodying it. So I happen to know that you have a declaration that was happening for months before you had this plant medicine experience. And I'm wondering, like, I don't want to trample on something sacred. Is that something that you would share with us here?
Yes, I will. And let me just preface by saying that in January of this year, when I turned 70 and I created this declaration, it was at the same time as I became aware that my mother became aware that she was pregnant with me. And this declaration was the beginning of her sending me the message of truth of who I was. Like, she wanted to encode the truth into me day after day after day, so that when I was finally born, I would be born into truth, not lies, because she was born into lies and she didn't want that for me. So, you know about this declaration because it came out of some work that we did together, where I was attempting to define my business and the purpose for my business.
Yeah.
And the declaration, when I created this, it showed me that my business is the vehicle for me to express the truth of who I am. It is not who I am. And so this is the declaration that I came up with. And it really did not take much thought. It came right through me because that truth has been there for lifetimes. And it is.
Yeah, I just want to kind of tell everyone, like, this is sacred. This is a beautiful moment you're about to experience, and it is intimate. So I kind of want to just, you know, create a container to hold this. Every time I hear it, I can feel the energy from it. Thank you for sharing this with us.
I know this to be the truth, because the experiences that I've had and the downloads from spirit have shown me this truth. I am priestess. I am shaman. I am warrior. I am witch. I am valuable beyond measure. I am the vessel through which magic and miracles flow. I trust in myself completely and am sovereign unto myself alone. I am the gift that is met with all that I need to sustain myself and thrive in every way. And I heard this from my mother multiple times a day, every day, out loud, in meditation. She let me know who I am, so that when I was born into this truth. And now it is my constant work to embody this and live it more and more fully every day in every way that I can.
Yeah. It is unbelievable even when I believe it.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful, beautiful embodying. I love when you say presencing yourself. I love the language that you use with that.
Yeah. When I said that I really don't know what's next, what I do know is that I'm being called to presence this truth in the world more fully, more visibly, and more powerfully than my mother ever could. And as a result, I'm, things she was afraid to do, I'm just picking up that thread and running with it because I don't have the same fears.
I love that so much. So you're doing this podcast with me. You have another podcast you're on right away. I have a feeling that you're going to be featured a lot because this is such an intriguing and interesting story. And there's so many people that are living without, like with that je ne sais quoi, without the, I don't know how to say it in French. We like use the words je ne sais quoi. What is it? But this, what is it? Piece of you that is just come to life in your new life. People are wanting this, especially since COVID. We've become aware of how empty life can be and what's the purpose and what's the point of so much of this and a lot of mental health issues. What do you want people to know more than anything else after having been through this experience? Like, what is your passion to infuse into people?
My sense is that most of us feel powerless to affect the disintegration of what we experience around us, the world that we experience around us. It's just the threads of the universe seem to be unraveling. And what I know now, and I don't know this here, I know this in every fiber of my being from this experience, is that the way that I and the way that we can shift what is occurring in the world is to begin with our own little universe and pick up our own thread of truth and start weaving the life that is ours to live based on truth. And when we do that, that thread is attached to every other thread of truth in the universe, so that we are literally weaving a new tapestry of life for our entire planet by beginning with weaving our own. We are not powerless, but we can't start out there. We have to start right here. And the more that we embody our own truth and let that really, really shine and share the gifts that we have to share, the more everything around us begins to shift and it spreads wider and wider and wider. And eventually all those threads that are disintegrating now will get rewoven, with all of our threads of truth together into a whole new tapestry. That's how we create a new world. So our awakening to our own truth is the key to shifting everything on this planet.
Absolutely. Well, I know that you will work with people in one-to-one consultations via Skype or Zoom, telephone, and do sessions with them to help them discover what they need to. And that you are able as an artist then to commission a piece for them that's going to like be a gift beyond measure for themselves forever. Like this blanket that you have made for me is like I don't have words. I am going to do my best to create a video that goes along with this to try to showcase how luxurious it is, how I experience this. And no one will ever be sorry if they choose to invest and really wrap themselves in something that reminds them of their worth, of their value. So I just want to encourage everybody to reach out to Debra and to make, allow her to be that vehicle of creativity and magic in your life. You won't be sorry. You won't be sorry.
No, thank you.
Oh, thank you. Are there any words you want to leave us with before we close off for today?
I think the one thing that I would add to everything I've said is to urge everyone not to be afraid to look at who they truly are, to acknowledge who they truly are. We tend to diminish ourselves and our own power and our own worth and our own beauty and sensuality and abilities. And I think that that's really out of fear. We're afraid of being as incredible, as brilliant, as magnificent as we really are. And I would just encourage people, don't stop there. Don't be smaller than you actually are. Let yourself expand. Let yourself be even more. It's a miraculous experience to expand into your truth. It is magnificent.
Well, I'm curious to see if you create some kind of formula for people to be able to experience what you have, like if it's, listening to your own body and then declaring and then embodying. I'm not sure what that could be, but whatever it is, it's like I love watching magic come through you, and I love seeing your artwork and reading your writings. Thank you so much for sharing with me, with the listeners. This
You're
is
very
truly
welcome.
a privilege.
This has been a real gift. Thank you.
Thank you so much.